I am not a cook. The thought of having something bad with my name attached to it terrifies me. It's not the same as doing goofy dances or making jokes, things that I'm just doing because I like them and it doesn't matter because it's lighthearted and fun. Cooking isn't lighthearted fun to me. So it's hard for me to cook, and I try to avoid it as much as possible because I'm scared of cooking something that tastes bad. I realize how ridiculous that sounds coming from a math teacher who has internalized the whole growth mindset idea. I spend 10 months of the year trying to convince teenagers that if you think you're bad at math, it's just because you need to practice more. That's all it takes to get better, practice. I know I have a fixed mindset about cooking, and I know what I need to do to get over it. So I'm going to bake. With my friends though, because I need support. We're going to use Mary Berry's Victoria sponge cake recipe, and we're going to try doing signature bakes like in the first round of the British baking show. A Victoria sponge cake is supposed to be a fluffy cake with a layer of jam and sometimes cream. We're going to make a mango cream and strawberry cream one, and a raspberry one without any cream because Kendon is lactose intolerant. First, we're going to make some jam. This part's not that hard. If you want to make your own jam, you've just got to chop up some fruit and add equal parts fruit and sugar, and then just stir it over a stove until it becomes gooey. I was told to aim for the consistency of shampoo. Bianca said something about making sure it boils and then putting it on a simmer, but I got distracted playing with Kendon's dog, so you should probably just Google it if you're going to try and make some homemade jam. We decided to make the jam before making any other part of the cake because we figured it's going to be really hot and it's going to need to cool down completely before we can use it to frost the cake. But you know, if you're an organized human being, you could do this the night before. We also used frozen raspberries, but fresh strawberries and mangoes, and ultimately it didn't make a difference. So if you're wondering whether you want to use fresh fruit or frozen fruit, there's so much sugar in there anyway that it tastes the same. It also helps if you're an octopus or have a friend to help you stir. Now comes the complicated part, the sponge cake. The internet's going to tell you that it's actually not the complicated part and the recipe is very simple to prepare, but don't let that bring you down if you struggle with it like we did. We had to make a lot of adjustments based on what we had on hand because we didn't want to make any extra trips to the grocery store because we're in Phoenix and it's real hot outside. Oh, look at these eggs trying to reassure us, making a little smiley face. The measurements in Mary Berry's recipe are in grams because she's English and we didn't have a weighing balance, so we had to use the measurements in ounces. And we also, again, didn't have a weighing balance, so we used our liquid ounce measuring devices. And now that I'm saying that out loud, I'm realizing how scientifically inaccurate that is. So, maybe it is a simple recipe after all if you have the right tools to weigh the things that you need to put inside. Whoops. Anyway, so you'll need eggs, butter, powdered sugar, self-raising flour, and baking powder. We didn't have powdered sugar, so we blended some regular sugar to make it finer. We also didn't have self-raising flour, but Erica did something to make the flour self-raising. Again, not sure what. I was playing with Kendon's dog again. It was right about now that we realized we should have blended the eggs and the butter together first before adding any of the dry ingredients. Just gonna work through this one. But we have 2 more batches coming up and we decided to switch up the order to hopefully make it a little bit easier. It didn't actually make it easier. The batter ended up looking exactly the same as the last one, and yeah, it was still pretty lumpy. We tried our best to make it non-lumpy, but also we were told that you couldn't stir it too much, otherwise it wouldn't rise anymore, so we just gave up and decided we're just gonna toss it in the oven and see what comes out. Our jam was getting cooled off right now and kind of getting into the jam consistency, and it tasted great. So, you know, even if the cakes turn out weird, at least we made some really good jam that day. I've seen so many bakers stare into the oven while their cakes rise, so I figured that's like a good habit that I should start building too. But I have no idea what I'm looking at or for. Just kind of staring at stuff. So here's our cakes out of the oven. They did not rise evenly, as you can see. Probably because of the lumps, but that's okay. We still needed to see how they tasted, you know, because things can be uneven but still taste delicious. So we didn't give up on them yet. So we left the cakes upside down for a little bit, hoping that they would just kind of fall out so we wouldn't need to scrape at it at all. And they did. So after the cakes were cool and after the jam was chilled, we began assembling the cake. So we put on some of that delicious jam right there in the middle, added some whipped cream afterwards, and then sandwiched the other side right on top. We used a tea steeper to add some powdered sugar over the top, like a gentle snowfall on top of our mango cake. We actually ended up running out of pans for that last raspberry cake, so we decided to bake the whole thing in one giant pan, and we were going to cut it in half. But just like our other cakes, it didn't rise evenly. It kind of ended up making a cake bowl of sorts. So we just put the jam right in the middle, kind of like a tart or a pie, if you will. Cake pie, pie cake, raspberry tart jam bowl. The layered cakes were honestly pretty bad. I didn't try the raspberry cake because I don't like the taste of raspberries, but the strawberry cake and the mango cake were pretty atrocious. I don't know, I mean, they weren't like vomit-inducing, but they just tasted like sugar and not really much else. But I feel a little more confident trying out this recipe again, and definitely was not feeling down on myself like I would have if I made the cakes alone. At the end of the day, though, the cakes weren't really the point. Like many wise people have said before me, sometimes the real cakes are the friendships we make along the way.